The city of Chicago produces more than 4 million tons of material waste every year. That's about 3 pounds of trash per Chicagoan, according to the Delta Institute. That's a nonprofit that conducted a recent waste management report on the city. The report highlights inefficiencies in how Chicago sorts and disposes residential, commercial, institutional, and construction waste while laying out short and long-term solutions. Joining us to discuss these findings are Bill Schleiser, CEO of Delta Institute, a nonprofit that seeks environmental solutions for Midwest communities, and Angela Tovar, the City of Chicago's Chief Sustainability Officer. Thanks to you both for joining us. So, Angela Tovar, let's start with you, please. More than 4 million tons of waste produced in Chicago every year. That's a lot. What does that number include, and is it especially high for a city like ours?
Yes, thank you so much, Brandis, for having us on. Yes, I mean, that number includes residential waste from single-family homes. That number includes high-rise residential waste. That number includes waste that's generated from our industrial, commercial, and institutional buildings here in Chicago. So it reflects, different types of buildings and different operations and sectors throughout the city. That number is high, but Chicago is a big city. I think that, what is notable about the waste study is that our recycling diversion rate has hovered around the same that it has been for quite some time, around the 8 to 10%. And we have a really wonderful opportunity here to drive innovation and to drive new solutions to bring up that recycling rate and really focus on waste diversion from landfilling.
And Bill, what are some of the inefficiencies that you all found in Chicago's waste management system, and what are some possible solutions?
So we wanted to look comprehensively across all the materials that get generated in the city of Chicago. And so we actually don't think about it as inefficiency, as more of opportunities to improve environmental impact, create economic opportunities, and deal with environmental justice issues. And we have, through the reports, really selected and sliced and diced that entire system to look at a whole range of things that the city can do, from those different types of materials, from the places that they're generated, from logistics and data management and tracking, transparency and communications, and education. It's really a comprehensive list of things that we can start on now and plan for larger scale infrastructure investment in the future.
Angela, what are some of the mistakes that Chicagoans make when it comes to disposing of or recycling certain materials?
I think that the issue is typically contamination, right? Or wish cycling is another issue as well. With contamination, we really have to make sure that our recyclables are rinsed before we put them in the blue cart. If you're recycling something like a pizza box, for example, if the top is soiled, you have to break that piece off and then recycle the part that hasn't been soiled. And so just issues like that. And that's on us to create more opportunities to educate people about the right way to recycle. Also, some people, wish that some of the items that they have, plastic bags, for example, should go in the blue bin, but they don't, right? And so we have to just be better about ensuring that people know where those items go. In that case, for example, the plastic bag, that would go to your local grocery store that has those recycling bins when you walk in to handle those plastic bags. So just giving more information to people, making sure information about recycling is out there for communities to understand how they can be doing it better. And then, there are a number of recommendations that look beyond just single residential homes, right? There are a number of other sectors where we can look at restaurants, industrial sectors, the building sector in particular, a lot of materials that can be reused and recycled. So it's also about broadening our approach to recycling as well.
And Bill, what should consumers know? What should we consider when purchasing new products?
Yeah, so really look at the products and what they're made of and what's in them. One of my pet peeves is opening up a package in a package, and we're looking at opportunities for how thinking about the waste system. How do we get just to stop putting that stuff in a receptacle so that we don't even have it going there? And if we end up putting it in a receptacle, we have opportunities to take it out of out of the waste flow for reuse, reclamation, and economic opportunities that can be utilized in the city to create job creation. So it really is about being more aware. And now we're looking at, one of the recommendations is to look at basically providing fees that would help us deal with those materials that are being produced by manufacturers.
And Angela, what is the environmental impact of waste management? There's an acceleration of climate change there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Waste. So if you think about waste, the processing, the landfilling, and the emissions that come out of landfilling, and also just the transportation that it requires, right? A city like Chicago, we export our waste, and most major cities at this point do, because landfilling is typically banned in major cities. And so just the amount of transportation it takes to handle our waste, all of those are sources of emissions, and collectively that accounts for 6% of our greenhouse gas emissions here in the city of Chicago. So there's a tremendous impact here. And also, I think one of the notable things about the study was looking at the impacts of waste infrastructure on our environmentally overburdened communities. And so there are a number of recommendations about how we can alleviate that burden, and how we can continue to improve our waste system and our transportation system,
And before
to align ourselves with climate change.
Thank you. Before we run out of time, I wanted to bring Bill in. We've got about 45 seconds. When it comes to environmental justice and public health, how are different parts of the city differently impacted by waste management?
It follows the same environmental justice patterns that we see with air quality and legacy pollution issues. The south and west sides are disproportionately burdened both with waste infrastructure and the impacts from that, and the traffic and logistics. And that's one of the things that we really wanted to map out and make clear, is that this is an opportunity for the city not only to rethink waste management, but also that the environmental justice impacts of that, and actually create economic opportunities that then can reinvest into those communities as well.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. My thanks to Angela Tovar and Bill Schleiser. Bill, I hope I'm saying your last name correctly.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.